list of 15 games of 2021 with the best storyline on PC, PS, and Xbox consoles includes not only new items, but also remasters of past years, which could not be ignored. It is possible that some of these games will be nominated for the title of the best game of the year. Life is Strange: True Colors. At one time, the French company Donno released a masterpiece game about teenage life with supernormal abilities. An amazing story in the genre of interactive cinema awaited you, which has sunk deep into the souls of millions of gamers. As a result, the developers decided to ride the wave of success, and after a while they released a shameful sequel that absolutely did not meet the expectations of the fans. But now a third-party studio, which had previously worked on an unnecessary prequel, but rather vital, developed Life is Strange: True Colors, which can definitely surprise an inexperienced gamer or fan of the series who visits absolutely all episodes of the franchise. The story of the main character's superpowers is waiting for you again. You will have to play as a girl again. She has uncontrollable empathy. The fact is that when someone near her experiences strong emotions, she is unable to control herself, which in turn leads to the splashing out of unusual abilities on others. In general, play it yourself. The plot of Life is Strange: True Colors is quite captivating. Deathloop. It's hard to call the Deathloop plot amazing, but there is definitely one big highlight in the project of the French studio Arcane, which gave us Dishonored and Prey 2017. These are time loops that make two ideal assassins relive the events of the same day over and over again. Of course, the idea is not new and we have already encountered something like this many times in the movies, but the developers clearly managed to tell the story in games in a new way. The protagonist of the game wakes up without memory on an island called Black Reef, whose inhabitants live one day over and over again, not at all afraid to die. Naturally, our hero named Colt is in complete bewilderment, and then some Julianne began to get pissed off. She, by the way, is aware of what is happening and she has goals, motives, and a common past with the protagonist. You will learn about all this during the game. At the Game Awards, Deathloop has already been included in the list, which contains the best games of 2021, as far as we know. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. One of the biggest surprises this year and yet another contender for best game of 2021. After, to put it mildly, not very successful Avengers, the studio Eidos Montreal decided to please Marvel fans with a single project on Guardians of the Galaxy. This time, the developers did not lose face and rolled out a very solid project with familiar characters. Yes, it was not without jams, shooting gets bored after a couple of hours, and the gameplay with graphics does not shine and does not make you open your mouth in surprise. However, in terms of the plot, everything is fine here. The heroes talk incessantly, share their stories, talk about their experiences, and constantly swear with each other. If you're a Guardian fan and want to see another story about Star-Lord's ragtag team, then this is a must-play game. Alan Wake. The turn of the remasters has come. This year, the Finnish studio Remedy did not delight fans with new AAA games, but the developers decided to roll out to the public a good quality remaster of their horror action game Alan Wake. In the story, you have to take on the role of the writer Alan Wake, who comes with his wife to a small provincial town on vacation. Realizes that they came here for a different purpose, but none of them even dared to think that Bright Falls was a real battlefield between darkness and light, in which Alan would be directly involved. And the key to everything that happens will be his own novel Leaving, written under with the help of the Dark Essence. If you haven't played the original 2010 release, then it's time to fill that gap. This remaster definitely deserves attention. Mass Effect. Another game that came to our list from the past. The fact is that this year BioWare Studio released a remaster of the first three parts, which was highly appreciated by fans, newcomers, and critics. Therefore, if you still have not had a chance to play one of the best game space sagas of all times and peoples, then the time has come for this. In terms of the plot, the intensity of passions, the scale of what is happening, it's like Star Wars or Star Trek, only from the world of games. In my humble opinion, a movie about the adventures of Shepard and his team suggests itself. By the way, the rights to the film adaptation were bought by the Legendary Pictures film company back in 2010, so we are waiting. The Medium. Quite a good psychological horror from Polish developers with a good plot, who somehow managed to persuade the famous composer Akira Yamaoka to take part in writing the soundtrack for the game. On Metacritic's The Medium has 75 points from critics and 7.2 on average from players. In the story, you have to try on the role of a girl medium who has a special gift and is able to travel in two realities. as well as leave her own body to explore new places that cannot be visited in human flesh. The game stylistically, and also thanks to the soundtrack, reminded many of Silent Hill very much. Among other things, there is a very good plot here, which seemed to many not easy to understand, and there is enough understatement. In general, if you have long wanted to play an unusual horror game with a depressing atmosphere and a good story, then the medium is a good option. Returnal, a Sony exclusive, which may eventually cease to be so, deservedly received a lot of positive and rave reviews from critics and the community. Before you is a very cool roguelike, in which you will often have to die. Great combat mechanics combined with cool visual style and sound are the key features of the game that will keep you from playing for hours. In addition, Returnal has a pretty entertaining plot that will force you to create your own theories around the narrative. Nevertheless, to some, this approach to history may seem stupid. In general, the game, in terms of the plot, can leave someone completely delighted and someone disappointed. Well, to run, at the moment, you need a PlayStation 5. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, a near-perfect PS5 exclusive that best demonstrates the usefulness of SSD drives inside next-gen consoles. Downloads between levels are almost invisible, unless you yourself understand that a new level was supposed to be loaded here. But this is not the only thing that the next game from Insomniac Games can boast of. The plot is fine here too. Rift Apart is a direct continuation of the hit that was released on the consoles of the last generation, which has become noticeably prettier. It has become larger, more interesting, and more fun. In this game, you can control not only Ratchet, but also another Lombax girl, Rivet, a warrior from another universe. What is so remarkable about the plot? With its simplicity and uncomplicated nature, it is able to entertain children and adults. And he will give a lot of positive to you and your family. Psychonauts 2, continuation of the first part of the platformer, which was released 16 years ago. Many had serious concerns about the quality of the final product, but these were not confirmed and a great game awaited us. I will not talk about the plot twists and turns, of which there are enough here, but I will only say the following: the game and its plot have become more holistic and understandable for the players. Unlike the first part, our hero does not have to dive into the minds of certain people who are not familiar to the hero. Here you will penetrate the subconscious of the key characters, which will allow you to better understand the local lore. By the way, each new level is radically different from the previous one. You will never know what to expect next, and this is the main charm of the game. If you want variety and a little madness with an interesting story, then Psychonauts 2 is your choice. Resident Evil Village, the 8th numbered part of the eminent horror series, which goes even further from the zombie theme. In this game you will have to face ghouls and vampires. Village is a direct sequel to Part 7 starring Ethan. The main problem with the game is that it is no longer as surprising as it used to be. Worse, it doesn't scare you properly. However, this does not negate the fact that everything is fine with the plot, gameplay, atmosphere, and other components. The developers are especially good at creating local villains. Fans, and not only, fell in love with one of them even before the game was released. In many ways, the developers' advertising campaign was centered around one villain, which, in the end, turned out to be too small, in terms of the time devoted to her. It is not worth waiting for special revelations from the plot of the 8th part of Resident. The stories in the games of the series have never been a strong point, and therefore they decided not to break the tradition. Nonetheless, this is one of those 2021 singles games that has some good plot twists and turns. Days Gone, former Sony exclusive, which moved to PC 2 years later. Yes, the game was released in 2019, but it became available for computers only in 2021. And you know, there was a feeling that the PC boyars liked Days Gone much more than the PlayStation adherents. At the time of its release on PS, the game received noticeably more criticism from players than when it was ported to PC. Perhaps it's all about the picture, control, and frame rate. The plot of the game is entertaining, capable of intriguing an unprepared player for plot twists. Those who are accustomed to some modern cliches will probably understand in advance what will happen around that corner. True, this does not detract from the interest in the passage. You want to follow the development of events all the time. The main characters of the story turned out to be very colorful guys. And really, when have you played as bikers in a post-apocalyptic world inhabited by zombies before? Genesis Noir. An unconventional point-and-click adventure with extraordinary visuals about the love and salvation of the universe by a watch merchant named Nobody. It all starts with the fact that our hero, returning to his beloved, is next to him at the moment when a stranger shoots at her. However, it is not an ordinary bullet that flies out of the barrel of a pistol, but a new universe that tore space and stopped the passage of time. But fortunately, the watchmaker knows what to do, and then you will find out everything yourself. Great atmosphere, intriguing plot, and many memorable moments. Forgotten City. An unconventional point-and-click adventure with extraordinary visuals about the love and salvation of the universe by a watch merchant named Nobody. It all starts with the fact that our hero, returning to his beloved, is next to him at the moment when a stranger shoots at her. However, it is not an ordinary bullet that flies out of the barrel of a pistol, but a new universe that tore space and stopped the passage of time. But fortunately, the watchmaker knows what to do, and then you will find out everything yourself. Great atmosphere, intriguing plot, and many memorable moments. Depending on the decisions made, the player will have to wait for several endings. Yes, this is a non-linear plot. And also, you can create a character to your liking by choosing gender, background, and other parameters. The game will surely appeal to fans of interesting stories, plot twists, and freedom of choice. Forgotten City has received extremely positive reviews on Steam. Black Book. Ordered a mix of CCG and RPG from a studio with Slavic folklore. The plot of the creation of the Morteshka studio tells the story of the adventures of the young sorceress Vasilisa, who intends to save her betrothed from the underworld. Black Book is a rather interesting storyline game for 30 hours, which pampers with some twists, interesting characters, an entertaining story, and addictive gameplay, which is important. Do not wait for freedom of choice and full role-playing. This is a story-driven game with a linear narrative. Fans of the genre should definitely buy, install, and play this game. If it tightens and head over heels, Death's Door. The mere presence of a raven with a sword behind his back suggests that an interesting adventure awaits us. The main character is engaged in an ordinary business, collecting souls. However, the whole routine is broken into one event that makes life sparkle with new colors, the abduction of the soul entrusted to you. And here the real adventure begins with furious gameplay, cool visual style, and other components inherent in really cool indie projects. I really like this game and its storyline. Yes, there are no sophisticated plot moves that are shocking, but it is quite interesting to follow the course of events. And even more interesting to fight opponents in difficult battles, which will make you nervous more than once, especially not the most prepared players. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel, watch our other videos, press like, turn on notifications, and you will always be aware of what to play today.